Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
Female athletes hope the foundation of a professional league in the United States will help advance women's hockey.
Well, I think the NWHL just has increased the sense of urgency in the women's game to figure it out.
Some students with university degrees are struggling to find work.
I don't think I learned anything about how to find out how you're going to get a job once you get educated.
In a time of almost lifelike video games, arcade games are on a comeback.
When I play a game or come here, I always invite someone over to the pinball machines with me and we play a 2-player game.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening, and welcome to NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
For this episode, rather than deliver the weekly news from behind this desk, we're going out and going in depth to tell you stories from around the province.
The features you are about to see showcase sports, technology, and other topics important to the lives of Edmontonians and beyond, from filmmaking to social media to learning music.
But before we delve into those stories, we begin with a bold new venture for women's professional hockey.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch.
Canada is known for its excellence in producing elite hockey players in professional leagues all across the world.
But for many female athletes, playing hockey at a true professional level remains just out of reach. Catherine Hill has more.
Women's hockey, it's a tough market to go about it the professional route.
Hayley Wickenheiser is no stranger to professional sports. She has 4 Olympic gold medals to her name, and she has played hockey all over the world.
Really, there's not much support in Canada. Unless you're a carded athlete with the national team, making $1,500 a month, you make no money playing the game.
After playing in Europe, Wickenheiser returned to Calgary. She now plays in the Canadian Women's Hockey League for the Calgary Inferno.
We've got an awesome roster of a lot of Olympians, national team players, and players that have played NCAA.
Inferno forward Kristen Haig played for the University of Alberta Pandas before moving to Calgary to work as a lawyer. And while the Bears team received support from their alumni, the Pandas were unable to provide the same for their players.
Part of it at that point was that the Golden Bears have a very long tradition. They've got a very big alumni, and so a lot of their support came from their alumni. I think the support has gotten better and better as the alumni has gotten bigger and bigger.
We're going to come low, support, give and go again.
After college and university, women in North America have only 2 options for a professional career. In addition to the CWHL, the National Women's Hockey League launched this year in the United States. Each NWHL team has a salary cap of $270,000. Players are paid between $10,000 and $25,000 in a season. These numbers are far below AHL salaries, where players are paid a minimum of $40,000 per season. Wickenheiser and Haig think the formation of a paid league has made the rest of the hockey world notice female athletics.
I think it also is forcing the NHL to take a hard look at what it wants to do for women's hockey, and they really are going to have to be the ones to bring this all together.
I think it draws attention to other people to the fact that there is a league in Canada that is not paying women.
The NWHL might be good news for women's hockey, but it also spreads the players between 2 professional leagues.
I don't think either the CWHL or the NWHL can really say that they're a professional league when all the best players are still spread out.
Whether or not the NWHL survives, Wickenheiser hopes it has made enough noise to have a lasting impact on women's hockey.
Hopefully the league will grow into true professional hockey one day.
Catherine Hill, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
More than 35,000 Canadians are diagnosed with Down syndrome. However, these individuals are often the ones providing help rather than receiving it.
Josh spent time with the Augustana men's volleyball team and their assistant coach.
Dennis Sturrock is a familiar name amongst sports fans in Camrose. He's volunteered with the men's volleyball team at the University of Alberta Augustana campus since 2001. It's one of many volunteer activities for the 52-year-old who gets the squad pumped up like nobody else.
Right there! Fights! And team better, gonna look good, more stronger.
Vikings head coach Stephen Leggett says Sturrock's presence at practice and on the bench during games has always given the team plenty to smile about. But what people outside the team don't see is the relaxing influence he has on everyone around him by keeping things in perspective.
It just keeps everything light. I think it makes us realize that, it's just a game. You get a little bit stressed. And Dennis will just come out sometimes with the most poignant sayings.
Co-captain and starting setter Devin Varga took over the responsibility of transporting Dennis to and from practice after older players left the program.
I always liked how passionate Dennis was about volleyball, so I thought that was really cool. That's why I kind of warmed up to him so much. And the fact that he just lives just down the block from where I live.
Are you going to come cheer for this next drill?
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Coach Leggett says the experience has helped to shape players like Devin both on and off the court.
That's added to who Devin is. And, Devin's taken some of that responsibility really well. And he cares for Dennis very much, and you can see that, as do a number of other guys.
He's become part of our pregame routine at home now. We go out for supper at 5. I think it's definitely helped us mature quite a bit.
Good job, buddy.
It's a busy time to be a student athlete, but seeing their assistant coach sacrifice his time to organizations and causes throughout Camrose, including Special Olympics events, has given the group a better appreciation of Coach Dennis.
I think people don't realize how much time he actually does sacrifice, like during the week for practices and stuff. Definitely think it's a source of inspiration for everybody.
Now, Dennis is easing into retirement on a few of his activities, including helping out at the local medical clinic. But volleyball is one thing he says he's not ready to quit on anytime soon.
I'll get them on time.
Yeah?
Not going to retire anytime
No.
soon?
For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Josh Ryan.
Nowadays, cheerleading isn't just pretty girls dressing up in skirts and yelling chants.
Indeed, it's now classified as a sport due to its physical demands and the amount of technique required. Danae Enedy reports.
This is the Drayton Valley Frankmatic Warriors cheer team. Every year, a new team is assembled that must learn every stunt, jump, and tumble in order to complete a full routine.
That was better.
Well, we have our flyer, who is the girl that gets lifted up in the air, thrown in the air. It's quite a few feet off the ground. We have our bases, which require a back spot, two side bases, and then a front spot.
That was only a basic prep. But stunts get even harder, more technical, and more dangerous as the team advances further on. This is a twist down.
1, 2, 3, 4, push them tight, 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 lock it, lock it, lock it. Tight, squeeze that bum. Okay, on 3, same thing, ready? 7, 8, 1, 2, go, 3, 4, 5.
We do basic preps, which are just entry levels. We do extended stunts, where the bases have the flyer over their head. They also do a number of jumps on the ground. Usually in concession, we never just usually do a single jumps that includes pikes, toe touches, hurdlers, and such.
It's most common for girls to be on a cheer team, but boys join in as well. Lucas Reel and AJ Smith are just two of the boys on this team.
Well, doing a one-man is pretty tough. AJ can vouch for that. I've seen him struggle through it every day.
Well, it requires a decent amount of strength, but mostly technique, I find.
Anyone can do it.
5, 6, 7, 8, go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Safety is a key issue when doing anything cheer-related and, as Coach Annette Adler explains, happens more often than you'd think.
When we get into tumbling, we get a lot of overextensions of joints if they're not limbered and stretched properly, and a lot of black eyes, bloody noses from elbows.
But the most common injury of them all is sprains, because they are so easy to happen when doing anything cheerleading related. Warming up before doing any sport is key to less injuries.
Competitions are the fun part. It's a pretty good atmosphere at cheer competitions. There's a lot of camaraderie between all the teams, lots of chanting and cheering, and yeah, it's a good time.
Competition season. It happens at the end of every school year, and all the high school cheerleading teams throughout Alberta compete to be the best. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Danae Enedy.
I get stuck now.
Coming up after the break, post-secondary graduates face a tough battle when finding a job in their field.
Teaching in other countries, it seems like that might be easier.
Edmonton videographers had just 24 hours to create movie magic.
There's 3 stages: production, then there's pre-production and post-production. So you have to make sure you have a good workflow between all 3 of those things.
There's a growing trend in Alberta facing post-secondary graduates.
Service industry jobs are seeing more staff with degrees and diplomas. Our Samantha Marcellin reports.
When Jenny Novak graduated from the University of Alberta in 2008, she had anticipated that she would find a job in her field. Unfortunately, along with a growing number of post-secondary graduates, she has not.
I have a Bachelor of Education, in fact, with a science major. I worked at like a tutoring center for a little while, and that I think paid like $15 an hour. And I did some subbing, but it was sparse. Like sometimes I wouldn't get a call for months at a time.
The service industry is finding itself heavily populated by university and college graduates who might not be able to find work without upgrading or considering technical schools for in-demand jobs in Alberta. Jessie Greger joins the ranks of overqualified workers in the kitchen at O'Byrne's Irish Pub.
Yeah, I have 1 BA, specialization certificates, and I've almost finished an after degree, and I also have a diploma.
College and university graduates are finding themselves back at school more often now that technical degrees are becoming valuable in the workplace.
I've seen a couple, go to NAIT or just move up into management or something in the industry that they were part-timing.
Stats Canada shows the rise in overqualification, with nearly 40% of university-educated Canadians working jobs that do not require degrees. There is also an increase in Canadians seeking post-secondary education, with 33% of Canadians holding a degree or diploma. The location of employment also plays a factor, with more jobs available in smaller cities. The good news about upgrading your degree to a technical diploma is that the employment rate for NAIT graduates within the first 9 months is 92%. But not everyone wants to upgrade.
I've started to think about maybe teaching in other countries. It seems like that might be easier than my own. But other than that, yeah, I think I'll stay here a while. I really enjoy it.
For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Samantha Marcellin.
Social media phone apps. Convenient, informative, and sometimes a necessity in our daily lives.
While it has its pros, there are some cons associated with always being plugged in. Our Brandon Hess has that story.
These days, social media is the norm when it comes to communication and staying updated on our surroundings. Everywhere you go, someone is looking at their phone. Social media keeps us updated on sports, the latest weather forecast, the latest traffic and transit delays in our city, as well as news and events around our NAIT campus. Now, some people are more glued to their phone than others. Additionally, to staying updated, social media can be a form of relaxation and downtime, especially for Linda Wang, a social media specialist at NAIT.
I'm always on social media to begin with, personally, so to be able to be on social media.
While Linda's job is to post on NAIT social media, it is also her hobby and passion.
So I think I'm very lucky that my kind of hobby is also my job.
Everybody seems to be walking around on their phone these days. I myself just checked out the hashtag YG Transit on my phone for the latest information on bus route 15 to Eau Claire. Now, there are the obvious pros to social media, but there are also a few cons to be factored in as well. When it comes to Linda, there is a downside to her constant usage of social media on her phone.
I would say there are times when my husband is like, put your phone down. We're just having a conversation face to face. So I do get sort of sucked in, and I do constantly feel that I am probably more on than other people.
It is also hard to find someone who doesn't bring a phone with them, or even someone who turns it off.
So I don't take my phone. I guess I have to turn my phone off when I travel on an airplane. But beyond that, I generally always have my phone with me. I have 2 phones actually, so if I don't, I usually have both phones on me, but if not, I'll at least have the one. And I sleep with my phone under my pillow.
While social media is Linda's hobby, she does have downtime in her life, just like the many others who are constantly glued to social media. However, most of Linda's downtime is using Twitter and Facebook. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, this is Brandon Hess reporting.
Creating a short film can take weeks, even months of hard work.
Kyle Matz follows a team of Sherwood Park filmmakers who try to do it in under 24 hours.
The Edmonton International Film Festival hosted the 11th annual 24-1 Challenge, a contest where teams are tasked with writing, shooting, editing, and delivering a short film in 24 hours. This team was ready for the challenge. The first thing the team worked on was the story, because according to their role model Casey Neistat,
story is all that matters. Story is golden. Story is king. Everything serves the king. All of this is just here to serve the story.
The biggest, I think, challenge was probably working a story into the shortest amount of time that we could.
the short films had to have a total runtime between 1 and 7 minutes. The surprise element that needs to be included in the film is usually a prop or a line of dialogue, but this year the surprise element strayed from the ordinary.
This year we gave filmmakers a program guide, and they were able to choose any film title that they wanted, and they made a film that was based around that idea.
With over 130 different titles to choose from, the choice is far from simple.
Which was surprising, considering that it's nothing that we've ever really experienced before, choosing a title of another film and essentially doing your best not to plagiarize it while still using it.
All in all, the team spent 16 of their 24 hours on creating and finishing the film. They submitted it, and then a week later was the premiere at Landmark Cinemas.
The film did way better than I think any of us anticipated, but we made that top 13, which we were thrilled about. We showed up on the screen up there after a few films in, and it was great. It was like the most elated we thought we could possibly feel.
The team won 2 technical awards for their short film, A Louder Silence, Best Editing, and Best Sound Design.
Totally worth it. I will do it again next time for sure, just because it's a great exercise. I think it's probably one of the most beneficial short-term projects that you can do as a filmmaker.
The team used their previous experience to create something worth watching. They focused on the story while paying attention to the camera and sound quality, and as a result they won 2 awards. You can view their short film at newmeasuremedia.com/aloudersilence, and you can view the other entrants by searching for EIFF 24-1 on YouTube and Vimeo.
We're done.
Kyle Matz, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Coming up after the break, an Edmonton bar is offering an alternative to online gaming.
I like that we're bringing it back. In Edmonton, too. We're so lucky.
Video stores in Alberta are surviving despite challenges from online streaming services like Netflix.
Especially if you're with a family, you don't want to sit in front of a laptop and watch a movie. You want to gather around your big screen.
Hair services by Rock Salon and Spa.
Video games haven't failed to entertain people for over 40 years.
However, the way gamers game is always evolving. Our Brendan Clack looks at a fresh venue looking for a nostalgia boost.
Alex Matias likes playing video games. He plays League of Legends, a game that reaches over 27 million people daily that continues gaining new fans.
I'd say just like advertising word of mouth, like, people are like, hey, you gotta try this game, it's called League of Legends.
Despite enjoying new games, Alex doesn't forget about the classics that inspired games like League of Legends to be developed.
It takes a lot more to make a game. You can ask really anyone in here and they'll tell you that. But game design is like, some of the best is retro.
Welcome to Denizen Hall, home of the Retro Arcade. Coming off of its 1-year anniversary, the bar and grill located in downtown Edmonton on 103rd Ave features pinball and classic games. With peak popularity in the 70s and 80s, hanging out with friends at the arcade has given way to gaming from home. Denizen Hall is throwing things back.
They've kind of become obsolete because we have our smartphones and everything is really accessible and we're more readily available to be distracted. I think now that we have so much available to us, I think it just kind of died out over time for some reason. So I like that we're bringing it back. In Edmonton too, we're so lucky.
So far, the comeback has been a success, with more customers expected after Rogers Place is completed just down the street. Brittany believes the arcade brings an element that computer gamers can't find from their desk chairs at home.
I feel like when I'm at home, I want to read or do something else that's a little bit more introverted. Like when I play a game or come here, I always invite someone over to the pinball machines with me and we play like a 2-player game. So like the computer games are cool, but it's just not my entry point into gaming, I suppose.
After a quick beer, I tried playing some games myself. Drinking and driving. Bad idea. Never again. As for Alex, he'll continue to play League of Legends because of its ability to keep him engaged.
It's more strategic, I guess, and you really feel like you have an impact on what's going on in the game.
Brennan Clack, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Grabbing a movie at the local DVD store has largely become a thing of the past.
But for some video stores in the greater Edmonton area, they're still attracting customers. Josh has more on that story.
Despite the rapid advances of technology pushing the consumption of entertainment online, some people still enjoy the experience of going to the store in the evening to grab the latest blockbuster or re-watch an old classic. Fortunately for them, there are still a few hundred video stores in Canada for cinephiles to peruse. Kevin Martin, not to be confused with the curler, is the owner of the Lobby DVD shop on White Ave. It's the last remaining video store in Edmonton. A lifelong fan of movies, particularly horror flicks, Martin took over operations of the Lobby from a friend back in 2005.
The concept of his cult movie store below a daycare center, I was like, man, why didn't I think of this? This is something I'm really passionate about. People still like to go out and interact with other human beings, and you come to a video store, there's the excitement eventually, like rummaging through the stuff.
Down in Camrose, Alberta, former movie gallery manager Roger Carrier has established a more classically family-friendly store for customers. He finds that people still yearn for the interaction with store employees.
It's nice for the majority of our customers, they can walk in the store and we don't have to ask them who they are. We know them by name, and I think they feel good about that.
Without having to adhere to the rules of a large chain, Carrier says being independent allows him to better provide for customers.
I could bring in whatever I wanted from wherever we wanted. We weren't tied to some computer program and some guy at a desk.
Carrier's store has grown every year since opening in 2011, largely because Camrose is still populated with mainly traditional movie renters.
We really geared the store towards families. We have 2,000 kids movies in our kids section.
Both owners are hopeful of their industry lasting at least several more years.
Collectors are collectors. As long as there's enough people out there that are obsessed with that side of the movie, then yeah, I think we're good for a little bit anyways.
There's still a huge percentage of people that love to have a disc in their hands, so I think we got a lot of years left.
Josh Ryan, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Churchill Square has been home to some great local music performances over the years.
But before they can play here, as Tyson will show us, they have two options and a choice.
Olivia Wall has played the piano almost half her life. Practicing at home while also being taught new things in the same environment is nothing new to Olivia.
years ago. I think I started like when I was in elementary school, and I played for maybe 5 or 6 years. I don't really remember. And then I stopped playing piano for about 8 years because I was going to high school and university and I just didn't have the time. And then I just, like a year ago, decided to pick it back up again. So
should we change from a different, from E major to something else, a minor one for?
Sure, yeah, sure.
Connie Collingwood is Olivia's teacher. She has been an in-home music instructor for several years. She says learning in the home has a great advantage.
Well, probably the most important thing is that you are comfortable in the situation you're learning in, which I think helps in the learning process.
Collingwood also adds that there are some hidden benefits to learning at home.
I get to know the instrument that the person is playing on, and I get to know the family better, which makes it a holistic experience rather than away from the home situation.
Giovanni Music School teaches music in a more classroom traditional setting, using a curriculum of lessons sorted by levels. Melanie Peruchny is a teacher at the school.
Specifically our school, we offer the Yamaha music education program, so kids can start when they're 2 years old. We actually have courses for 2 years old.
Peruchny says a classroom environment allows students to feel more at ease during the process of learning.
They learn better when they're in a group setting. They learn from their peers, they make friends, so it's just a really positive experience for them to learn music through, in the same sense of learning at any kind of a school.
Both methods have their benefits as well as their costs. For Olivia, the ability to learn in a place she calls home on a piano that is her own is a great comfort.
It was always nice because when I was a kid I did a lot of sports, like I played soccer and I did taekwondo, and it always felt like we were leaving to like go do these activities, so it was just kind of nice to have the option to stay at home.
Tyson Dolany, NAIT NewsWatch Extra. Thank you for joining us tonight and for tuning in over the past few months.
This wraps up the fall season of NAIT NewsWatch, but the show will be back in 2016 with fresh new faces.
Good night.
And have a Merry Christmas.